Part 1, The Awakening. I don't remember dying. I know it happened, though. I can feel it in the way this body moves, or rather, doesn't move. Every step feels like I'm dragging someone else's corpse behind me, muscles creaking like they're remembering how to work. The truth hit me like a freight train. I'm not in my body anymore. Waking up from the coma was the first sign something was terribly wrong. I wasn't supposed to wake up. Doctors said I'd be lucky to breathe on my own, let alone regain consciousness. But here I am, blinking up at the ceiling of a hospital room, tubes and wires tangled in my arms like I'm some Frankenstein experiment. I sit up. The room is dim, shadows clinging to the corners like cobwebs. I can hear the muffled beeping of machines in the hallway, the faint hum of life around me. My head feels heavy, like it's filled with lead, and my vision swims as I try to focus. There's a mirror across the room, small but enough to show me what I don't want to see. That face. It's not mine. The man in the reflection is a stranger, broad jaw, high cheekbones, eyes that glint with something cold. I touch my face, and the man in the mirror does the same. Panic seizes me. I claw at the blankets, struggling to get free of this nightmare, but the more I move, the more it sinks in. This isn't a dream. I've been reborn. The door creaks open, and a nurse steps in. She stops dead, her face pale as she meets my gaze. "You're awake, after all this time." She whispers, more to herself than me. "How long?" I croak, my voice raspy, unfamiliar. She looks away, fidgeting with her clipboard. 8 years. You were in a coma for 8 years. 8 years. My mind reels. I had been someone else before all this, a different man, in a different life. But I don't remember him, just flashes, fragments of something darker. A man with blood on his hands. A killer. Then it hits me, the reason I'm here, in this body, in this hospital. I remember the goal, the mission. It wasn't an accident that I woke up. I was meant to wake up, to correct what the man before me had done. The problem is, I don't know what he did. Not yet. But I will. Soon enough, I'll uncover his sins. Because I'm not here to live his life, I'm here to undo the horrors he left behind. And if I don't, I'll be trapped in this flesh forever, a prisoner of this monster's body. As the nurse backs away, I catch a glimpse of her name tag, Sarah. Something about it stirs a faint memory, a name whispered in the dark corners of my fractured mind. But before I can grasp it, it slips away. The sound of footsteps approaching pulls my attention back to the door. A doctor steps in, his expression carefully neutral. "Good to see you awake, Mr. Khalid," he says, too smoothly. Khalid. I freeze. That name. That name. Khalid, the Syrian butcher. The killer who vanished without a trace 7 years ago. They never found him, only his victims. The man whose face is now staring back at me in the mirror. I feel sick. My vision blurs again as the room seems to tilt on its axis. The doctor is talking, but I don't hear him anymore. All I can think is I'm him. I'm inside the body of a monster. And now, I have to live as him. Part 2, The Weight of Sins. The doctor's words melt into a distant hum as my mind wrestles with the new reality. Khalid. I am Khalid. The name crashes around in my skull, igniting flashes of horror, the cold slice of a blade, the gurgling cries of someone dying, the coppery scent of blood thick in the air. I grip the bed frame so hard my knuckles pale. "We'll need time to adjust," the doctor continues, oblivious to the chaos unraveling in my head. He glances at his clipboard, the dim light casting sharp shadows on his face. "It's a miracle you've woken up. We'll run some tests tomorrow, but for now, rest." I nod, barely registering the words. Tests. Rest. None of that matters. The real test is already here, the test of whether I can live in the skin of a killer. The doctor leaves, and I'm alone again, the silence pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. Every breath feels foreign, like I'm inhaling someone else's life. I can't stay here. I need to move, to escape, but the weight of this body pins me to the bed. It's heavy with sins, each one dragging me deeper into the abyss of who Khalid was. I swing my legs over the edge of the bed, forcing myself to stand. My knees buckle, and I stumble, crashing into the wall with a dull thud. The mirror is still there, reflecting the man I've become. His face is composed, almost calm, but the eyes, they betray something darker. Something broken. I can't look at him. I turn away, my hands shaking as I peel off the hospital gown. There's a pile of clothes on a chair by the window. Standard issue, gray sweatpants, a plain white shirt. I pull them on quickly, trying to cover the skin that doesn't feel like mine. I need answers. Who was this man before the coma? What did he do that led him to this point? More importantly, what am I supposed to fix? My thoughts spiral as I walk unsteadily to the door. The hallway outside is sterile and cold, the smell of antiseptic hanging thick in the air. There are nurses moving in and out of rooms, their voices low and clinical. None of them look at me, and for that, I'm grateful. The last thing I need is to see their pity, or worse, their suspicion. I wander aimlessly for a while, the hospital's maze of corridors swallowing me whole. My heart pounds in my chest, each beat echoing with the weight of Khalid's name. Every step I take, I wonder, who will recognize me? Who will know the face of a murderer walking among them? Eventually, I find a small waiting room, empty except for a TV droning quietly in the corner. The news is on, the anchor's voice flat and detached as he reports on some political scandal. I sit down heavily, the exhaustion settling deep in my bones. I haven't been awake for more than a few hours, but it feels like I've lived an eternity. My gaze drifts to the TV, barely paying attention, until I see it. The image. It's brief, a passing headline about an unsolved case, but it's enough to make my blood run cold. A woman's face flashes on the screen, pale and lifeless, her eyes wide open, staring into nothing. The caption reads, "Victim of the Butcher, 7-year anniversary of serial killings." The Butcher. My name. Khalid's legacy. I lurch to my feet, nausea twisting my stomach. The room spins, and I grip the back of the chair to steady myself. 7 years. 7 years of silence, of mystery, and now, I've woken up into the middle of it. The world hasn't forgotten about the killings. The blood still stains the streets, the fear still lingers. The truth hits me like a fist to the gut. I wasn't just reborn. I was brought back for a reason. Whoever, or whatever, dragged me into this body didn't do it for mercy. There's something I need to finish, something I need to correct. But I don't know what. Suddenly, I feel eyes on me. I glance up, and standing in the doorway is the nurse from before, Sarah. Her face is pale, her lips pressed into a thin line. She steps into the room, her shoes making soft squeaks against the linoleum floor. "You should be resting," she says, but there's an edge to her voice. She's afraid. Of me. I swallow hard, the words catching in my throat. "Sarah, what happened to me?" She hesitates, her eyes flicking toward the TV. Her voice drops to a whisper, and she takes a step closer. You don't remember?" "No," my voice is barely audible. "I don't remember anything." Her gaze locks onto mine, searching, as if she's trying to decide whether I'm telling the truth. After a long pause, she exhales shakily. "You were found, after the last one. They thought you were dead, but you weren't. You were in a coma." "The last, what?" I ask, even though I already know. Sarah's eyes darken, the fear flickering like a candle in the wind. "The last victim. The one they never solved. The room feels too small, the air too thick. I take a step back, the walls closing in around me. You think I'm him, don't you? Sarah doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. Because the truth is written all over her face. Part 3, The Buried Past. I stand frozen, the weight of Sarah's stare crushing down on me. Every muscle in my body is screaming to move, to run, but my legs are rooted to the spot. It's not just fear that's gripping me, it's recognition. She knows something. She knows more than she's letting on. Why are you looking at me like that? I ask, my voice trembling. Sarah takes a step back, but her eyes don't leave mine. Because you're him, she whispers. Khalid. The butcher. They never found you, but you're right here, standing in front of me, pretending to be someone else. I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to think. I'm standing in the skin of a killer, but I'm not him, am I? I was someone before this. I had a life, memories, a soul. But all I can feel now is the suffocating grip of Khalid's sins closing in around me. I don't remember, I mutter, shaking my head. I don't remember anything about him. Sarah watches me closely, her fear slowly giving way to something else, pity, maybe. You wouldn't. Not after what happened to you. What do you mean? I ask, stepping closer. My pulse quickens, a gnawing hunger for answers clawing at the inside of my skull. Tell me. She hesitates, glancing over her shoulder as if checking for someone. When she speaks again, her voice is barely a whisper. The last victim, they found you with her body. You were half dead, lying there in the blood. The police thought you were just another casualty, but when they ran your prints, that's when they knew. You were the one they'd been hunting. My breath catches in my throat. The image of that woman on the TV flashes in my mind again, her lifeless eyes, her pale skin. She wasn't just a random victim. She was the last one. The one that ended it all. I collapse into the chair behind me, my legs giving out. I don't remember any of it. Sarah's gaze softens slightly, but there's still a flicker of caution in her eyes. You wouldn't. After the coma, there were complications. Brain damage. The doctors said you might never regain your memories. And now? I don't know, she whispers. You're a miracle. No one expected you to wake up, let alone walk. But if you don't remember, she trails off, her words heavy with unspoken implications. If you don't remember, what does that mean for me? I finish the thought in my head. I don't know if I want to remember. If I dig too deep, what will I find? The truth of who I was, or the darkness of what Khalid became? I can't stay here. I need air, space to think. I stand abruptly, startling Sarah. She moves aside as I head for the door, my mind racing, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't know where I'm going, but I can't stay in this hospital for another second. Every breath I take here feels like poison, suffocating me with the weight of a life I didn't ask for. As I reach the door, Sarah speaks again, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and urgency. They're still looking for you, you know. The police. The families. They'll never stop. You might not remember who you are, but they do. And if they find you. She doesn't finish the sentence, but I already know what she's going to say. If they find me, it's over. Whether I remember Khalid's crimes or not, I'll be dragged back into the darkness, forced to answer for the blood on my hands. But there's something else gnawing at me, something that doesn't add up. I was found with the last victim, lying half dead beside her body. If I was Khalid, why wasn't I arrested then? Why was I allowed to slip away into a coma, forgotten for all these years? I need answers, but I can't get them here. I push through the door and step into the hallway, the fluorescent lights flickering above me like the dim glow of some distant reality. The hospital feels wrong, like I'm walking through a dream that's unraveling at the edges. My footsteps echo unnaturally, and for a brief moment, I feel like I'm not even real. Like this body is just a shell, and somewhere inside, the real me is still asleep. I pass an empty nurse's station and spot a set of clothes folded neatly on the counter. They're not mine, but I don't care. I grab them and head toward the nearest restroom, ducking inside quickly. The mirror above the sink taunts me, showing me Khalid's face, twisted in confusion and fear. I tear my hospital gown off and pull on the clothes, desperate to shed the last remnants of this place. As I fasten the buttons of the shirt, something cold and sharp presses against the back of my neck. Don't move. The voice is low, cold, and familiar. I freeze, my heart slamming against my ribs. Slowly, I raise my hands, staring into the mirror. Behind me stands a man in dark clothes, his face shadowed beneath the hood of his jacket. But even in the dim light, I can see the glint of the blade in his hand, pressed firmly against my skin. Who are you? I ask, my voice barely steady. The man leans in closer, his breath hot against my ear. I'm the one who's going to help you finish what you started. I swallow hard, the cold edge of the knife sending shivers down my spine. I didn't start anything. I don't even know who I am. He chuckles, a dark, hollow sound. You'll remember soon enough. I try to turn around, but the blade digs in deeper, and I freeze again. No need to rush, Khalid. I've been waiting for you to wake up for a long time. You're not going anywhere until I get what I want. What do you want? I whisper. The man's grip tightens, his voice dropping to a menacing growl. I want you to finish the job. There's one more name on your list, and you're going to cross it off. Whether you remember or not. My blood runs cold. One more name. One last victim. I can barely breathe as I ask the next question. Who? The man pulls the blade away, stepping back just enough for me to turn and face him. His eyes are dark, hollow, and in that moment, I see something in them that chills me to my core. He knows me. He knows everything. And in his hand, he's holding a crumpled photograph. He tosses it to the floor between us, and I stare down at it, my breath catching in my throat. It's a picture of Sarah. The last victim. Part 4, the final name. The photograph burns a hole in my mind, the sight of Sarah's face twisted in confusion and fear. She doesn't know. She has no idea she's the last name on Khalid's list. But the man standing behind me, the one with the knife, knows everything. He's been waiting for this moment, waiting for me to wake up and finish what Khalid started. My heart races, and I force myself to look away from the crumpled photo on the floor. I don't remember any of this, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not him. I'm not Khalid. The man grins, his teeth sharp in the dim light. He steps closer, and I feel the cold press of the blade against my chest. You can lie to yourself all you want, but you can't lie to me. I know you better than you know yourself. His eyes flash with something dark, something twisted. You killed them, Khalid. One by one, just like you were supposed to. And now it's time for the final act. I didn't kill anyone. I snap, my fear twisting into anger. You've got the wrong person. I'm not him. The man's grin fades, replaced by a cold, calculating look. You can deny it all you want, but you're in his body. His mind might be broken, but his instincts, they're still there. You're still him, even if you don't remember it yet. I swallow hard, trying to keep my voice steady. Why are you doing this? What do you want from me? He doesn't answer at first. Instead, he kneels down, picking up the photograph of Sarah from the floor. His fingers brush the edge of the paper as he studies it, his expression unreadable. You don't remember her, do you? He asks quietly. You don't remember the others. You don't even remember why you did it. I shake my head, confusion swirling with dread. No. I don't. The man stands up, slipping the photograph into his pocket. That's the thing about killers. They don't need a reason. Not a real one, anyway. It's all about the need. His eyes meet mine again, and there's something in them that makes my skin crawl. And you needed to kill them. You still do. I shake my head, stepping back. No. No, I don't. I'm not a killer. I'm not going to hurt anyone. He chuckles, the sound low and chilling. We'll see about that. The door to the bathroom creaks open suddenly, and both of us freeze. Sarah stands in the doorway, her eyes wide with shock as she takes in the scene, me, standing in front of the mirror, and the man with the knife. Sarah, I start, but the words die in my throat. She backs up, her face pale, her hands trembling as she grips the doorframe. What is this? Her eyes dart between the two of us, her breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The man with the knife takes a step forward, a twisted smile spreading across his face. Well. Looks like the final piece of the puzzle just walked in. Sarah, run. I shout, but she's frozen in place, too terrified to move. The man grabs her arm, yanking her into the room. The door slams shut behind them, and I hear the lock click into place. My heart pounds in my chest as I lunge forward, grabbing the man by the wrist. He spins, slamming me into the wall with enough force to knock the wind out of me. You're not done yet, Khalid, he growls, tightening his grip on the knife. Finish the job, and maybe, just maybe, I'll let her live. I can barely breathe, the impact leaving me dazed. But even through the fog of pain, I can feel something shifting inside me. A dark, suffocating presence, like a weight pressing down on my soul. It's Khalid. He's there, buried deep in my mind, lurking in the shadows. For a moment, everything goes quiet. The room around me fades, the sounds of the hospital disappearing into a distant hum. I can feel him, Khalid, pushing through the cracks in my memory, clawing his way to the surface. Images flash in front of my eyes, faces, names, places, all covered in blood. I see Sarah's face again, not in fear, but in desperation. I see her on the floor, crying, begging for her life as the knife is raised. My hand grips the handle, slick with sweat, my heart pounding with the rush of power. And then. No. I force the memories back, fighting against the darkness clawing at my mind. I'm not him. I'm not Khalid. I won't let him take control. With a surge of strength, I twist out of the man's grip, slamming him into the sink. The knife clatters to the floor, and I scramble to grab it before he can. But he's fast, faster than I expected. He kicks the knife across the floor, out of reach, and grabs me by the throat, slamming me into the wall again. You can't fight it, Khalid, he hisses, his fingers tightening around my neck. This is who you are. You were born to kill. I struggle against his grip, my vision going dark around the edges. But even as I fight, I feel it, Khalid's presence growing stronger, feeding off the violence, the rage. He's taking over, and I don't know if I can stop him. Sarah's voice breaks through the fog. Please, stop. The man's grip loosens, just for a moment, and I take my chance. I shove him off me, sending him stumbling backward. He crashes into the mirror, shards of glass raining down around him. He's down, but not for long. I know he'll get up. He always does. Sarah, get out of here. I shout, my voice hoarse. She hesitates, fear and confusion warring in her eyes. But then, she nods, scrambling toward the door. She fumbles with the lock, her hands shaking, but finally, she gets it open. She glances back at me, her face pale, before disappearing into the hallway. I turn back to the man, who's already getting to his feet. Blood trickles down the side of his face, but he's grinning, a wild, manic look in his eyes. "You're not done yet, Khalid. You still have work to do." I grab the knife from the floor, holding it out in front of me. My hands are shaking, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am anymore. But one thing is clear. I can't let Khalid win. Not this time. The man lunges at me, and I raise the knife, ready to defend myself. But as he charges, something inside me shifts. The darkness that had been clawing at the edges of my mind recedes, and for the first time since I woke up, I feel in control. The blade sinks into his chest. His eyes go wide with shock, his body going limp as he collapses to the floor. Blood pools beneath him, dark and thick, soaking into the cracks of the tiles. I drop the knife, my hands trembling. I didn't want to kill him. But I did. And as I stand there, staring down at his lifeless body, I realize something terrifying. It felt good. Part 5, In the Blood. The silence is deafening, broken only by the distant hum of hospital machines beyond the door. I stare at the body on the floor, my breath shallow, my chest tight. Blood pools around him, thick and dark, spreading out like a shadow, his life seeping into the cracks of the cold, sterile tile. But it's not the blood that terrifies me. It's the way I feel. A strange calm settles over me, a numbness I wasn't expecting. There's no panic, no regret, just emptiness. Part 5, In the Blood. The emptiness gnaws at me, a hollow ache in my chest where fear should be. I should feel something, guilt, horror, regret, but all I feel is the weight of silence pressing down on me. The man's lifeless eyes stare up at me, reflecting a part of myself I'm not sure I want to see. My hands are still trembling as I wipe the blood off on my shirt, but the motion feels mechanical, detached, like someone else is pulling the strings. My mind should be racing, screaming with panic, but it's like the world has slowed, every second drawn out into eternity. He's dead. I killed him. And the terrifying part? It didn't feel wrong. It felt like justice. My breath comes in shallow gasps, and I glance down at the knife still clutched in my hand. The blood on it is already drying, turning dark against the dull steel. It's the same knife Khalid used, isn't it? The same tool of destruction. I'm standing in his shoes now, with his weapon, with his body, and with his past clawing at the edges of my mind. I drop the knife. The clatter it makes as it hits the floor jolts me back to the present. I need to move. I need to get out of here before the nurses, the doctors, anyone, finds out what just happened. But I can't seem to get my legs to work. My body feels disconnected from my mind, like I'm trapped inside, screaming to escape but no one's listening. Then, through the haze of panic, a soft sound reaches my ears. Footsteps. Not far. They're steady, purposeful, approaching fast. Sarah? No, these steps are heavier, more deliberate. Someone is coming, and they're coming for me. My heart slams into my chest, and instinct kicks in. I need to hide the body, his body. I can't let them see what I've done. My eyes scan the small bathroom, landing on the supply closet in the corner. I drag the man's body toward it, struggling under the weight. My muscles scream with effort, but adrenaline pushes me forward. The footsteps grow louder, echoing in the hallway outside the door. I shove the body inside the closet, pushing it behind stacks of towels and cleaning supplies. The door clicks shut just as I hear the handle of the bathroom door turning. I whip around, my pulse racing, and freeze. The door opens, and a man steps inside. He's tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a plain, dark suit. His face is hard, unreadable, his eyes scanning the room with practiced ease. He's not hospital staff. He doesn't belong here. His gaze lands on me, and for a moment, neither of us move. He knows. Somehow, he knows. There's a flicker of recognition in his eyes, Khalid's eyes, like he's seen this all before. "You're him," he says, his voice low, measured. I swallow hard, my throat dry. "No. I'm not." The man takes a step closer, his eyes narrowing. "You're the one who woke up. The one we've been waiting for." I take a step back, my hand brushing against the sink behind me. "I don't know what you're talking about." He smiles, but it's not a kind smile. It's cold, predatory. "You're Khalid. The butcher. The killer. You can deny it all you want, but I know who you are. I've been following your trail for years." I shake my head, the panic rising again. "I'm not him. I don't remember anything." The man tilts his head, studying me like a specimen under a microscope. "You will. It's only a matter of time before the memories come flooding back. The urge, the need to finish what you started." His words send a shiver down my spine. He's talking about Sarah. The photograph flashes in my mind, her face, the fear in her eyes, the knowledge that she's next. And this man, he's here to make sure I go through with it. I feel the walls closing in, the air growing thick with dread. I'm trapped between the past I don't remember and the future I can't avoid. Khalid's shadow looms over me, threatening to swallow me whole. The man steps even closer, his presence dominating the small room. "You can't run from this. It's in your blood. It's who you are." I want to scream, to fight, to tear myself away from the identity that's been forced on me. But deep down, I can feel it too, Khalid's darkness curling around my mind, whispering that maybe this is what I was always meant for. Maybe this is who I am. But I can't let that happen. I can't let him win. "I won't do it," I say, my voice shaking but firm. "I'm not going to kill her." The man's smile widens, his eyes glinting with something dangerous. "We'll see." Suddenly, he lunges at me, grabbing my arm with surprising strength. I struggle, trying to break free, but he's too strong. He slams me against the wall, pinning me there, his breath hot against my ear. "You can fight it all you want, Khalid," he hisses, "but you can't escape what's in your blood. You were born to kill. It's in your nature. And you will finish what you started." My vision blurs as the pressure on my chest tightens. I can feel Khalid's presence inside me, stirring, waking, feeding on the violence. It's like a poison seeping into my veins, infecting every thought, every action. The memories I've been trying to bury are bubbling to the surface, each one more violent than the last. The man's grip tightens, his fingers digging into my skin. "Do you feel it? The power? The hunger? It's who you are, Khalid." "No." I shout, shoving him with all my strength. He stumbles back, surprised, but recovers quickly. He wipes blood from his lip, his eyes burning with rage. "I won't be him," I snarl, the words pouring out in a desperate rush. "I won't let him control me." The man steps forward, his voice low, dangerous. It's too late. He lunges at me again, but this time I'm ready. I duck, grabbing the knife from the floor, and drive it upward. The blade sinks into his side, and he gasps, his eyes wide with shock. Blood pours from the wound, staining his shirt, but he doesn't fall. Instead, he grabs the handle of the knife, twisting it in a way that sends searing pain through my hand. His lips curl into a bloody smile. "You can't fight this," he rasps. "You'll never be free." I wrench the knife free and stumble back, watching as he crumples to the floor. His breath is shallow, ragged, but he's still alive. Barely. I stare down at him, my hands slick with blood, his blood, the second man I've killed in just a few short hours. My heart is racing, my mind a chaotic swirl of guilt and something darker, something far more terrifying, relief. Because it's over. He's done. But as the blood pools around him, as the life fades from his eyes, I realize something horrifying. It's not over. It's only just begun. Part 6, The Shadow of Khalid. The air is thick with the stench of blood, mingling with the sterile, antiseptic smell of the hospital. I stand over the second body, the knife hanging loosely from my fingers, my heart pounding against my ribs like a caged animal. His final words still echo in my mind, "You'll never be free." He's wrong. He has to be. I drop the knife, the clatter too loud in the suffocating silence. The sound reverberates through my skull, each metallic note digging into my mind, scraping at the walls of my sanity. 2 men. 2 bodies. 2 deaths. And both at my hands. It's impossible, yet here I am, standing in the middle of a nightmare I don't remember stepping into. Khalid's shadow lingers around me, darker than ever. I can feel him now, not just as a memory, but as a presence, a predator, circling, waiting for the moment to take control. He's been with me all along, waiting for me to slip, to let him in. I won't let him. The door to the bathroom is still ajar. I can hear the soft hum of voices outside, the faint murmur of life continuing, unaware of the carnage hidden behind this door. Sarah's gone, but she won't be far. She knows something about who I was, about the killer I'm supposed to be. I have to find her before anyone else does. Before Khalid takes over completely. I step over the body, the slick pool of blood almost mocking in its stillness, and push the door open. The hallway stretches out in front of me, long and dim, the fluorescent lights flickering overhead. I move quickly, my feet barely making a sound against the cold tile floor. Every shadow feels alive, every creak in the building sends a jolt of fear through me. As I make my way down the hallway, the memories start to come back in fragments, flashes of faces I don't recognize, the feel of a blade in my hand, the thrill of power coursing through me. Each memory comes with a wave of nausea, but I can't stop them. They're breaking through, piece by piece, and each one is more horrific than the last. I reach the main lobby of the hospital, the bright lights and bustling nurses pulling me out of the haze. I duck into a nearby corridor, trying to avoid being seen. I don't know how much time I have before they discover the bodies, but I can't risk being caught. Not yet. I need to find Sarah. She's the key to all of this. The final name. But why? Why her? Why now? I move quickly, my mind racing as I make my way through the maze of corridors. My body moves on autopilot, my legs carrying me forward even as my thoughts spiral deeper into the darkness. Every turn feels familiar, like I've been here before, like I'm retracing steps I've already taken. Then I see her. Sarah. She's standing at the far end of the hallway, talking to a doctor, her face pale and drawn. She looks scared, terrified, even, but there's something else in her expression. Something, resigned. Like she knows what's coming. I stop, watching her for a moment, trying to piece it all together. She hasn't seen me yet, and I'm not sure if I want her to. What am I supposed to say? How can I explain any of this when I don't even understand it myself? But I can't wait. I can't let her leave. I step out into the hallway, moving toward her, my heart hammering in my chest. As I get closer, she glances up and her eyes lock onto mine. For a split second, her face twists with panic, but then she takes a deep breath, steeling herself. Sarah, I say, my voice strained. We need to talk. The doctor she was speaking with gives me a sharp look, clearly confused by my presence. Sir, you shouldn't be here. It's okay, Sarah interrupts, her voice calm but trembling. I'll handle it. She gestures to the doctor, urging him to leave, and after a moment, he nods and walks away, casting one last wary glance over his shoulder. Sarah turns back to me, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, as if she's trying to shield herself from the weight of what's coming. What do you want? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I need answers, I say, stepping closer. I don't remember anything, but I need to understand. Why me? Why am I in this body? And why are you the final name? Her eyes flicker with something, recognition, maybe. Or guilt. She takes a step back, shaking her head. You wouldn't understand. It's too late for that. Too late for what? I press, frustration creeping into my voice. What did Khalid do? What did I do? She looks away, her hands trembling as she brushes a strand of hair from her face. It's not about what you did. It's about what you were meant to do. Her words send a chill down my spine. Meant to do. The man's voice echoes in my head, his taunting words about fate, about blood. I can't shake the feeling that this was all planned, orchestrated. But by who? I don't understand, I say, my voice cracking. What am I supposed to do? Sarah takes a deep breath, her eyes locking onto mine with a sudden intensity. You were chosen, she says slowly, as if each word is a weight she can barely lift. Khalid, the man you're in now, he wasn't just a killer. He was part of something bigger. A ritual. You're not here by accident. You were brought back to finish it. My blood runs cold. A ritual? She nods, her voice shaking. The killings, they were sacrifices. Every life Khalid took was part of a pattern, a design. And you're the final piece. I stare at her, my mind reeling. But why? Why me? She swallows hard, her eyes filling with something that looks like pity. Because you're the vessel. You've always been. Khalid was just a tool, a body to be used. But you? You're the one they need to complete the ritual. You're the one they've been waiting for. My chest tightens, and I take a step back, my breath coming in shallow, ragged gasps. No, no, that's not possible. Sarah moves closer, her face pale, her voice trembling. I wish it wasn't. But it's the truth. You were always meant for this. I feel like the ground is falling away beneath me, like the walls are closing in. Everything I thought I knew, about myself, about this nightmare I've been trapped in, is crumbling. I was never in control. Not then. Not now. And as Sarah's words sink in, something inside me snaps. Khalid was just the beginning. I feel the darkness rise again, like a wave crashing over me, and I can't fight it anymore. It's too strong, too deep. I've been running from it, but I can't escape. This is who I am. This is who I've always been. Sarah's voice cuts through the haze. You need to finish it, or they'll never let you go. My head spins, my vision blurring as Khalid's presence tightens its grip on me. The memories flood back, faces, names, blood, all part of the ritual. All leading to this moment. And then I hear it. A voice, deep and ancient, whispering from the depths of my mind. It's time. Sarah reaches out, her hand trembling, her eyes pleading. Please, it's the only way. I look down at her, my mind screaming against the weight of what's coming, but Khalid's presence is too strong. I feel his thoughts merging with mine, his desires becoming my own. The knife is still in my hand. And there's only one more name to cross off the list. Part 7, Crossing the Line. The knife in my hand feels heavier now, as if it's not just steel and blood, but the weight of every life Khalid has ever taken. Every murder, every death, it's all coiled around my fingers, tightening, drawing me closer to a line I swore I would never cross. Sarah's eyes are wide, her breath coming in shallow, frightened gasps. She can see it, too, can feel the shift in me. She knows I'm slipping, that Khalid is clawing his way up from the depths of my mind, pushing me toward the inevitable. But there's something else in her gaze, something beyond fear. Acceptance. It's time, she whispers, as if the words are pulling me closer to the edge. This is what you were meant for. You have to finish it. I take a step back, my mind spinning, trying to hold on to whatever piece of myself is left. I'm not him, I mutter, more to myself than to her. I'm not a killer. I won't do this. But even as I say the words, the memories flood back, his memories. I see flashes of the murders, the faces of the people Khalid took, their final moments frozen in time. My heart pounds in my chest as I remember the look in their eyes, the terror, the pleading, and the blood. So much blood. And now Sarah is next. But why? Why her? She's not like the others. There's no fear in her, only this eerie calm, as if she knows what's coming, wants it to come. My grip tightens around the knife, my knuckles white. The blood from the earlier struggle still stains the blade, but it feels like more than that. It feels ancient. It feels inevitable. No, I forced the word out, my voice shaking. I won't do it. I won't kill you. Sarah steps closer, her eyes locked onto mine. You don't have a choice. None of us do. Her voice trembles, but her resolve is unshaken. This is what they want. This is what you were brought back for. If you don't finish the ritual, it'll never stop. They'll come for you. And they'll come for me. My heart hammers against my ribs, the edges of my vision blurring. Who are they? Sarah's lips tremble, and for the first time, I see true fear flicker in her eyes. The ones who've been waiting. The ones who orchestrated all of this. Khalid was their weapon, their hand in the world. But you're the key. Without you, the ritual can't be completed. I shake my head, backing away. No. I'm not going to finish it. I'm not going to be their pawn. Her eyes narrow, her calm cracking slightly. You can't fight this. You think I haven't tried? You think I haven't spent every waking moment trying to avoid this fate? But it doesn't matter what we want. This was set in motion long before either of us had a say. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd been running, fighting against something I didn't understand. And now, standing here, the truth feels suffocating. Khalid didn't just choose his victims. He was guided, pushed by forces beyond his control. He was part of something bigger, something ancient and monstrous. And now, I'm caught in the same web. I look down at the knife, at my trembling hands, and feel the weight of the decision crushing me. If I kill Sarah, the ritual is complete. I don't even know what that means, what happens next. But if I don't, the shadow of whatever they are will consume both of us. They'll come for her, and they'll come for me. There is no way out. You were always meant to be the last, Sarah says, her voice soft now, almost tender. Khalid's body was just a vessel, a way to keep you hidden until the time was right. You waking up wasn't an accident, it was planned. They've been waiting for you to finish what he started. The only way to stop them is to end it. My mind reels, the pieces finally falling into place. Khalid wasn't the endgame. I was. I am the key to something far darker than anything I could have imagined. The ritual. The killings. It was all a chain leading to this moment, a sacrifice with a purpose I don't understand. But what happens if I refuse? What happens if I don't play their game? Sarah steps closer, her voice barely a whisper. If you don't kill me, they'll find another way. They'll take everything from you, your mind, your soul. And they'll come for me anyway. You can't stop them. But you can finish it. I stare at her, my pulse racing. Her face is pale, her eyes wide, but she's not begging for her life. She's not pleading for mercy. She's asking for this. She wants it to end. I take a step forward, the knife still clutched in my hand. I can feel Khalid's presence coiling around my thoughts, whispering that this is the only way, that I have to finish what he started. The hunger for blood, for power, surges through me like a wave, and I fight to keep it at bay. But Sarah's words echo in my mind, you can't fight this. I'm standing at the edge of a precipice, teetering between two fates, neither of which I understand. If I kill her, I complete the ritual. If I don't, I leave us both to the mercy of whatever forces are pulling the strings. Please, she whispers, her voice breaking. Just do it. My grip tightens on the knife, the cool metal pressing into my palm. The world around me narrows to this moment, this decision. I feel the weight of Khalid's blood, his legacy, his sins, pressing down on me, pulling me toward the darkness. But somewhere inside me, there's still a part of the person I used to be. The person who wasn't a killer. The person who didn't want this. I stare at Sarah, my chest tightening with the weight of the choice before me. She's ready. She's waiting. But I can't do it. I won't do it. No, I whisper, dropping the knife. The clatter echoes down the hall, and I step back, my hands shaking. I'm not him. I won't be him. Sarah's eyes fill with tears, and for a moment, I think I see something like relief flicker across her face. But then her expression hardens, and her voice drops to a cold, flat whisper. You just killed us both. Before I can react, there's a sound behind me, a soft, eerie whisper, like the wind in a dead forest. The lights overhead flicker, the air growing heavy and cold. The hallway stretches out into darkness, shadows creeping along the walls like living things. I turn, my heart pounding, but there's nothing there. Nothing, except the feeling that something is watching. Something ancient and hungry. Sarah stumbles backward, her face pale, her eyes wide with terror. It's too late, she gasps. They're coming. I whirl around, but there's nothing. The air is thick with a malevolent presence, something I can't see but can feel pressing down on me from every direction. And then I hear it. A soft, scraping sound, like claws on stone, growing louder, closer. The shadows move, crawling up the walls, and the whispers grow into a low, guttural growl that vibrates through the floor. Sarah's voice breaks through the darkness. You should have finished it. I turn to her, panic surging in my chest. What's happening? She looks at me, her face ghostly pale, her eyes brimming with fear. They're here. Part 8, The Arrival. The darkness is alive. It slithers along the walls, twisting and writhing like a mass of hungry serpents. The whispers are louder now, echoing off the sterile hospital walls, each one carrying the weight of something ancient and malevolent. They're coming for me, for us, and there's no place left to run. Sarah's words hang in the air like a death sentence. They're here. I take a step back, my heart hammering in my chest. What do they want? Sarah stares at me, her eyes wide and filled with something I've never seen before, resignation. They want you. They want what's inside you. I swallow hard, my throat dry as sand. I didn't finish it. I didn't. You should have, she interrupts, her voice trembling. It was the only way. Now they'll take what they need by force. The shadows deepen, and the air grows thick, oppressive, like we're standing at the edge of a storm that's about to swallow us whole. I can feel something, them, moving in the darkness, watching, waiting. The cold settles deep into my bones, and for the first time since I woke up in this cursed body, I feel truly helpless. I glance down at the knife I dropped moments ago, its blade gleaming faintly in the dim light. The symbol of every violent act Khalid ever committed, of every death that led me here. I should have finished it. But now, standing on the precipice of something far worse than death, I'm not sure that killing Sarah would have stopped it. The growl rises again, a deep, guttural sound that makes my skin crawl. It's coming from the shadows, everywhere and nowhere at once. I step toward Sarah, desperate for answers, for a way out. What do we do? How do we stop this? She shakes her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. We can't. They were always going to take you, one way or another. It was never about finishing the ritual, it was about completing the circle. And you were always the missing piece. The missing piece. It hits me like a wave, the weight of her words sinking into my gut. The ritual was never meant to end with Sarah's death. It was meant to end with me. I was never just Khalid's replacement, never just a vessel for his sins. I'm the final sacrifice. The one who seals the deal. The whispers grow louder, and the shadows move faster, closing in around us. I can feel them, their presence, creeping into the room, into my mind. They've been waiting for this moment, waiting for me to break, to give in. And now that I haven't finished the ritual, they're coming to claim what's theirs. Sarah stumbles backward, her breath coming in short gasps. They'll take your mind first, she whispers. Then your body. You'll be nothing but a puppet for them, like Khalid was. I feel it then, them, inside me. A cold, gnawing presence, crawling through my thoughts, wrapping around my consciousness like a parasite. I grip my head, trying to block out the voices, the whispers that are no longer coming from the outside, but from deep within my own mind. You're ours. The words slam into me like a hammer, a voice that isn't mine but feels as though it's been there all along, waiting in the dark corners of my mind. I can feel them, digging deeper, pulling at the edges of my soul. They've been here since the beginning, since I woke up in this body. They've been feeding off me, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now, they're taking me. Sarah is crying now, backing away slowly, her face a mask of terror. I'm sorry, she sobs. I didn't know. I didn't know they would do this. Her words are distant, muffled, like I'm underwater, sinking deeper into the abyss. The shadows are everywhere now, crawling along the floor, climbing up the walls, reaching for me with cold, invisible hands. I can feel them inside my skin, writhing beneath the surface, taking control. We've waited so long for you. I scream, but the sound is swallowed by the darkness. My body feels like it's tearing apart, like the very fabric of my being is unraveling. The cold spreads through my veins, and I collapse to my knees, gasping for breath. My vision blurs, and I can barely see Sarah through the black haze that's descending over everything. The shadows coil around me, wrapping tighter, squeezing the air from my lungs. The whispers are louder now, deafening, a chorus of voices all speaking at once, telling me the same thing over and over. You were always ours. I claw at my skin, trying to tear them out, but it's no use. They're inside me. They've been inside me from the moment I woke up. I was never in control, Khalid was never in control. We were both just puppets, vessels for something far older, far darker than we could ever understand. The ground shifts beneath me, and I feel my body being pulled, dragged deeper into the abyss, into the shadows. I try to fight it, try to resist, but it's like struggling against the tide. I'm powerless, trapped in the current, and there's no escape. Sarah's voice cuts through the darkness, faint but desperate. You have to fight it. You can't let them take you. But it's too late. I can feel them wrapping tighter, suffocating me, pulling me under. My thoughts blur, my memories twisting into something alien, something wrong. I can't remember who I was before this. I can't even remember what I was fighting for. We are one. The words burn into my mind, searing away the last remnants of who I used to be. The presence inside me grows stronger, feeding on my fear, on my pain. It's like they're devouring my soul, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but a hollow shell. Sarah's voice is a distant echo now, fading into the darkness. Please, she whispers, her voice cracking with fear. Please, don't let them. Her words are cut off by a deafening roar, a sound so powerful it shakes the very foundation of the hospital. The walls tremble, and the lights overhead flicker violently before plunging us into total darkness. And then, in the silence, I feel it. A presence, massive and all-consuming, something far more terrifying than anything I've ever felt before. It's not just the shadows or the whispers, it's them. The ones who have been pulling the strings all along. The ones who have been waiting. They've finally arrived. And they're here to claim what's theirs. I can't see them, but I can feel them. Their presence is overwhelming, suffocating, like the weight of 1,000 worlds pressing down on me. I try to move, but my body is frozen, paralyzed by the sheer force of their will. The air grows colder, and I can hear them now, the whispers, the voices, all speaking at once, a cacophony of sound that drowns out everything else. You are ours. I scream, but it's a soundless cry, swallowed by the void. My body feels like it's disintegrating, breaking apart at the seams. I can feel them inside me, ripping away the last vestiges of my humanity, leaving nothing but darkness. And then, in the midst of the chaos, I hear one voice, clear, distinct, cutting through the noise. Finish it. It's not a command. It's a plea. A desperate cry for salvation. And I realize, with a sinking horror, that it's not coming from them. It's coming from me. My last, fading thought before everything goes black. I was always meant to be theirs. Part 9, The Possession. Everything is black. There's no light, no sound, nothing but the crushing weight of them inside me. They've taken everything, my body, my thoughts, my very soul. I'm no longer myself, no longer whoever I used to be. I'm just a vessel now. An empty shell. But even in the darkness, a faint pulse of something remains, me. The small, fragile part of my mind that hasn't yet been consumed. It clings to the last shred of my identity, refusing to let go, even as the shadows coil tighter around me. I don't know how long I've been in this void, minutes, hours, days, it feels endless. Like I'm sinking deeper and deeper into the pit of oblivion. Then, a sound. It starts as a low hum, barely perceptible, but it grows louder, sharper. The whispers return, swirling around me like a storm, pulling me out of the darkness, dragging me back to the surface. My body aches, like I've been shattered and pieced back together with jagged edges. Suddenly, I can feel the world again, the cold floor beneath me, the sharp sting of air in my lungs. I'm back, but something is wrong. My hands tremble as I lift them, the skin slick with cold sweat. I can still feel them crawling inside me, twisting my thoughts, my movements, like invisible puppet strings. You belong to us now. Their words echo in my mind, like a constant, insistent pressure. My muscles twitch involuntarily, my body fighting against itself. I'm not in control, they are. But I'm still here, somewhere inside, buried beneath the layers of darkness they've wrapped around me. I force my eyes open, blinking against the harsh fluorescent light. I'm back in the hospital, lying on the cold floor of the hallway where I collapsed. My chest heaves with ragged breaths, and I struggle to sit up, every movement a battle against the force inside me. I turn my head and see Sarah. She's sitting against the wall, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, her face pale and streaked with tears. She looks like she's been crying for hours, like she's witnessed something so horrific, it's broken her. When she sees me stir, her eyes widen with a mix of relief and horror. She scrambles to her feet, pressing herself against the wall as if trying to distance herself from me. Oh God, you're still here, she whispers, her voice trembling. I thought they took you. I swallow hard, trying to speak, but my throat feels raw, like I've been screaming for an eternity. They did, I manage to rasp. They're inside me, Sarah. They're controlling me. She shakes her head, her hands trembling as she grips the edge of the wall. No, this isn't how it was supposed to happen. You were supposed to finish the ritual. They weren't supposed to take you. I look down at my hands, my fingers twitch, moving on their own, curling into fists before I can stop them. A wave of nausea rolls over me as I realize just how little control I have over my own body. I'm not me anymore. Not fully. They're in my head, Sarah, I say, my voice cracking. I can feel them, like they're pushing me, pulling me, and I can't stop it. She takes a step toward me, her eyes wide with fear. You have to fight them. You can't let them take over. I'm trying, I choke out, my body trembling. But they're too strong. The shadows flicker at the edges of my vision, like tendrils creeping in, wrapping around my mind. I can hear the whispers growing louder again, their voices overlapping, a maddening symphony that drowns out everything else. We are one. I shake my head violently, trying to block them out, but it's useless. They're everywhere, in my mind, in my veins, in my very soul. I can't fight them. Yes, you can. The voice is small, faint, but it's there, my own voice, buried deep within the cacophony of whispers. It's the last piece of me, clinging to the fragile hope that I'm not lost yet. I close my eyes, trying to focus on that voice, trying to hold on to that last flicker of who I used to be. You can fight this. You can still stop it. But how? How do you fight something that's already inside you, something that's become you? Sarah's voice pulls me back. There has to be a way, she says, her voice strained. There has to be a way to break the ritual, to sever their hold on you. I open my eyes, the room spinning as the shadows crawl closer. How? I ask, desperation creeping into my voice. Tell me how. She hesitates, biting her lip, as if weighing something in her mind. There is one way, she finally says, her voice barely above a whisper. But, you're not going to like it. What is it? I demand, my body shaking with the effort of holding the darkness at bay. She steps closer, her eyes filled with a sadness that chills me to the bone. You have to destroy the vessel. I blink, confused. What are you talking about? The vessel, she repeats, her voice trembling. The body you're in, it's their link to you. It's the reason they can control you. Khalid's body was prepared for this ritual, and now that you're in it, they're using that link to pull you under. I stare at her, my mind struggling to comprehend what she's saying. You mean? I have to kill myself? She nods, her face pale and grim. It's the only way. If you destroy the vessel, you sever their connection to this world. You break the ritual, and they can't take you. I feel the blood drain from my face. The weight of her words settles over me like a death sentence. I thought I was fighting to survive, to hold on to who I was, but now she's telling me that the only way to stop them is to end my own life. My hands tremble, the whispers growing louder in my head, urging me to ignore her, to give in. We are one. You belong to us. I look down at the knife still lying on the floor beside me, its blade stained with blood. My blood. Khalid's blood. The blood of everyone he ever killed. The tool of so many deaths, and now, it's the only thing that can free me. But can I do it? Can I really end it? Sarah's voice breaks through my thoughts. It's the only way, she says softly, her eyes pleading with me. If you don't, they'll take you. They'll turn you into him. You'll be trapped forever. I stare at the knife, my chest tight with fear and doubt. I don't want to die. I don't want to lose this battle, even if it means giving up my body to them. But what kind of life would that be? Living as a puppet, controlled by forces I can't understand, forced to carry out their will. You're already ours, the voices hiss in my mind. There is no escape. I squeeze my eyes shut, the weight of the decision crushing me. There's no way out. Not really. Either I die, or I become their vessel. Slowly, I reach down and pick up the knife. The metal is cold in my hand, its weight heavy with finality. My breath comes in short, ragged gasps as I hold the blade to my chest, right over my heart. Sarah watches me, her eyes brimming with tears. I'm sorry, she whispers. I wish there was another way. I nod, my throat tight with emotion. I don't want to die. But I can't let them win. I won't. I close my eyes, my hand shaking as I press the knife harder against my skin, feeling the sharp point digging in, ready to plunge. And then, just as I'm about to do it, just as I'm about to drive the blade into my chest, a voice, loud and clear, cuts through the noise in my head. Stop. My eyes fly open, my heart pounding in my chest. The knife trembles in my hand, but I don't move. I don't understand. The voice was different, not the same as the whispers that have been haunting me. This voice felt familiar. There's another way, it says, calm but urgent. I lower the knife, my mind reeling. What other way? I ask aloud, though I'm not sure who I'm talking to. The voice answers, soft but resolute. Find the one who started it all. Only they can break the ritual. Part 10, The Other Way. The knife trembles in my hand, its weight still heavy, but the urgency of the voice cuts through the chaos. The whispers from them grow louder, more desperate now, urging me to ignore this new voice. But there's something different about it, something I can't ignore. It's calm, clear, and it feels like hope. I drop the knife. Sarah's eyes widen, her face pale as she steps forward. What are you doing? You have to. There's another way, I interrupt, my voice trembling. I don't know how, but there is. Something is telling me that I don't have to die. Not like this. Sarah shakes her head, her lips tight with fear. No. No, you don't understand. They're in control. The only way to stop them is to destroy the body. The vessel. The voice inside my mind whispers again, stronger now. You don't have to die. Find the one who started it. Only they can end it. I press my hands to my head, trying to block out the clashing voices. Who is it? I ask aloud, my breath shallow. Who started it? Sarah watches me, her eyes flickering with confusion, maybe even fear. There isn't anyone else. This is it. There's no one. Find the one who started the ritual. The voice is insistent now, cutting through Sarah's words like a knife. They set the wheels in motion. Only they can stop it. My heart pounds in my chest as I try to make sense of it all. Sarah looks like she's about to say something else, but I'm already moving, stepping back, away from her. I have to find them, I mutter, more to myself than to her. Whoever started this, they have the answer. Sarah's face twists in panic. No, you don't understand, she shouts, her voice cracking. If you don't finish the ritual now, they will take you. There's no time. But I don't stop. I can't. I feel something pulling me forward, a force stronger than the fear gnawing at my insides. It's like my body already knows the way. The shadows around me shift, and the whispers inside my head grow more frantic, but the clear voice, that other voice, guides me. It's leading me somewhere, away from the madness, toward a new path. Who are you? I ask, my voice barely a whisper, hoping the voice will answer. I am what's left of you, it says softly. The part they couldn't corrupt. I've been waiting for you to listen. My stomach clenches at the words. This voice, this part of me that they couldn't take, it's been trapped here, buried under layers of Khalid's evil, under the weight of this curse. But now it's awake, and it's showing me the way forward. I have to trust it. Sarah stumbles after me, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. Please, she calls, her voice rising in desperation. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to die if you don't end this. I glance back at her, but my mind is already made up. I can't just give in. Not without trying everything. I'm sorry, I say, my voice hollow. But I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to find out who did this, who started this nightmare. They're the key. Sarah's face falls, a mixture of fear and disbelief flashing in her eyes. Then we're both dead, she whispers, shaking her head. You can't stop them. But I don't listen. I turn and push through the door at the end of the hall, stepping out into the cold night air. The hospital looms behind me, its sterile lights flickering in the distance, but I'm already moving, drawn by an unseen force. My body aches with exhaustion, my mind heavy with the weight of what I've done, what I'm trying to undo, but I can't stop now. I have to find them. The one who started it all. As I make my way through the empty streets, the city feels eerily quiet, like the calm before a storm. Every shadow seems to reach for me, the whispers from them still clawing at the edges of my mind, desperate to pull me back. But the other voice, the voice that is me, is stronger now, guiding me away from their grasp. You're close, the voice says, its tone steady. Keep going. My pulse quickens as I turn a corner and find myself in front of a small, run-down building. The windows are dark, and the door hangs slightly ajar. It's abandoned, forgotten, like so many other places in the city. But I know, deep down, that this is where I need to be. This is where it started. I push open the door and step inside, the smell of damp wood and decay filling my lungs. The air is thick, heavy with a sense of dread. But there's something else here, something old, something powerful. I can feel it, like a heartbeat in the walls, pulsing with dark energy. The whispers are louder now, angry, frantic. They know I'm getting closer to the truth. Upstairs, the voice says, quieter now, almost, sad. They're waiting for you. I climb the creaking stairs, my hands gripping the banister as I force myself forward. Every step feels like a descent into madness, but I can't stop. Not now. At the top of the stairs, there's a single door, slightly ajar. I reach for it, my heart pounding in my chest, and push it open. The room is dark, lit only by the faint moonlight filtering through a broken window. And there, standing in the center of the room, is a figure, a tall, shadowed form, their back turned to me. They don't move. They don't speak. But I know. I know this is the one who started it all. Who are you? I whisper, my voice shaking. Why did you do this? The figure turns slowly, their face hidden in the shadows. But as they step into the light, my blood runs cold. It's not a stranger standing before me. It's me. The man who stands before me is the same as the one I see in the mirror every day, the face of Khalid, the killer, the butcher. But there's something different in his eyes, something old, something far more terrifying than anything I've seen in myself. He smiles, a twisted, knowing smile, and takes a step closer. You've come a long way, he says, his voice deep and unsettling. But you're too late. You always were. I stumble back, my heart racing. Who are you? I demand, my voice rising in panic. What is this? He tilts his head, his smile widening. You already know. I am you. I've always been you. The part of you they've been waiting for. No, I shake my head, trying to force the truth away. That's not possible. You can't be me. The figure chuckles, his voice cold and hollow. You were never meant to survive this. You were always meant to be me. The killer. The vessel for them. You didn't escape the ritual. You are the ritual. His words slam into me like a hammer, the truth unraveling before my eyes. The ritual wasn't about completing the murders. It was about creating something. Something inside me. I was never meant to end the curse. I was meant to become it. The figure steps closer, his eyes gleaming with malice. You see now, don't you? You were always destined to carry their darkness. To be the one who brings them into this world. I shake my head, panic rising in my chest. No, no, I won't let that happen. I'm still me. I can still fight this. The figure laughs, a deep, bone-chilling sound. You can't fight what you are. It's too late for that. Suddenly, the shadows in the room surge forward, wrapping around me like a suffocating embrace. The whispers are louder now, deafening, as the darkness pulls me under, dragging me into the abyss. You are ours. The last thing I hear before everything goes black is my own voice, twisted and hollow, laughing in the darkness. You were always ours. Part 11, The Truth of Darkness. When the darkness fades, I'm not sure where I am anymore. The world feels distant, like I'm standing at the edge of reality, looking in from the outside. My body is here, but it's not mine, not really. I can still feel them inside me, crawling under my skin, whispering in my mind, twisting my thoughts. I don't know how much time has passed. It could have been moments or hours. Time has no meaning in the void where they live. The whispers have quieted, but I can feel them watching me, waiting for the moment I give in completely. The room around me is distorted, the walls pulsing with a sickly energy, like the building itself is alive. The man, the other me, stands at the center of it all, his smile still etched into his face, cold and knowing. You understand now, don't you? His voice is calm, but it echoes unnaturally, like it's coming from all directions at once. You were never meant to survive. You were always meant to become. I shake my head, my hands trembling at my sides. I won't let it happen, I whisper, though even I can hear the weakness in my voice. I'm still here. I'm still me. He steps closer, his shadow stretching out across the floor, creeping toward me like a predator. You're lying to yourself, he says softly, almost gently. You're not you. Not anymore. You're us. You've always been us. The ground beneath my feet seems to shift, the room tilting and warping as if reality itself is starting to collapse. My heart races, and I force myself to stand tall, even as my legs threaten to give out. No, I say, louder this time. I can still fight this. I'm not going to let you take me. The man, the twisted version of me, laughs, a sound that sends a shiver down my spine. Fight all you want, but it won't change anything. You were marked the moment you woke up. You're already ours. I take a step back, desperate to distance myself from him, but the walls seem to close in, the space around me tightening. The darkness is suffocating, wrapping around me like chains. I can barely breathe, the air thick with the weight of their presence. I can hear their voices, feel their hands pulling at me, urging me to let go, to give in. But I can't. I won't. Why? I ask, my voice cracking under the strain. Why me? Why did you pick me for this? The man tilts his head, his eyes gleaming with dark amusement. Because you were weak, he says simply. Weak and lost, just like Khalid. You were perfect, ripe for corruption. It was only a matter of time. I swallow hard, my chest tight with fear and anger. I wasn't weak, I spit back. I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose this. His smile widens, a cruel edge to it now. That's the beauty of it. You didn't have to choose. The ritual chose you. It always does. I shake my head again, my mind racing. The ritual, the murders, the sacrifices, they were never random. It was all leading to this. But I still don't understand why. Why me? Why now? You were always meant to be the final vessel, the man continues, stepping closer until he's standing right in front of me. Khalid was just a means to an end. A temporary shell to hide what was truly coming. The real ritual was always about you. I stare at him, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't believe you. He chuckles softly, reaching out to touch my shoulder. His hand is cold, like ice seeping into my skin. You don't have to believe me. You're living it. You are it. I recoil from his touch, the chill of his hand spreading through my body like poison. I can feel the darkness growing stronger inside me, tugging at my soul, pulling me closer to the edge. I'm losing the battle. Bit by bit, I'm slipping away, becoming what they want me to be. No. I can't let it happen. I can't let them take me. I stumble back, my eyes darting around the room, searching for something, anything, that can help me break free. But there's nothing here, nothing but shadows and the twisted reflection of myself, smiling at my fear. You think you can escape this? The man asks, his voice laced with mockery. There's no way out. The only way to end this is to give in. Let them take you. Become what you were meant to be. No. I shout, my voice cracking with desperation. There has to be another way. His smile fades, his eyes narrowing. You're wasting time. Every second you fight, you only make it worse. They're already inside you, twisting you. Soon, there won't be anything left of who you were. You'll be me. The weight of his words crushes me, but I can't let myself give in. Not yet. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to stand tall, to push back against the darkness crawling inside me. I'm not you, I say, my voice stronger now, steadier. I'm not going to let you win. The man's eyes darken, his smile fading completely. You're delusional. No, I reply, my breath steadying. I'm alive. I'm still here. He steps closer, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. Not for long. Suddenly, the shadows surge forward, wrapping around me, squeezing tighter than ever. I gasp, the air driven from my lungs as the darkness coils around my throat, pulling me under. My vision blurs, and I feel myself sinking, falling into the void where they've been waiting for me all along. You are ours, they whisper, their voices blending into one. The pain is unbearable, like my mind is being torn apart from the inside. I can't fight it. I can't hold on. I'm slipping away into the darkness, into them. But then, in the midst of the chaos, a voice breaks through the noise. Not theirs, not the twisted version of myself, but the voice I've been holding on to, the voice that's still me. There's still time. You can still fight. I latch onto it, desperate, pulling myself up from the brink. I focus on that voice, on the part of me that hasn't been consumed, and I push back against the darkness. I can feel it now, the connection between them and me. The ritual that bound me to them. The link that's keeping me tied to this curse. And I know what I have to do. With a sudden burst of strength, I tear myself free from the shadows, gasping for air as I stumble backward. The man, the other me, looks at me with a mixture of anger and shock. You can't do this, he hisses. You can't fight them. But I'm already moving, my mind clear for the first time since this nightmare began. I grab the knife from the floor, the cold metal sharp in my hand. I know what I have to do. I turn to face him, the twisted version of me, and without hesitation, I plunge the knife into his chest. His eyes go wide with shock, and for a moment, everything is still. Then, the darkness around us explodes. The shadows writhe and twist, the whispers turning into screams as the connection between us shatters. The man staggers backward, his body dissolving into smoke and ash, his twisted grin fading as he disappears into the void. The room around me trembles, the walls shaking as the weight of the curse lifts. The shadows recede, and the whispers fade, leaving only silence. I stand there, gasping for breath, the knife still clutched in my hand. I did it. I broke the connection. But it's not over. Not yet. Because as the last of the darkness fades, I hear the voice, the real voice, whispering softly in the back of my mind. Now, it's time to finish what you started. Part 12, The Final Choice. The silence in the room is deafening, almost oppressive after the chaos that had consumed it. I stand there, knife still clutched in my trembling hand, staring at the empty space where the twisted version of myself had vanished. The shadows are gone, the whispers quieted, but the weight of what's coming presses down on me like a mountain. I can still hear it, the real voice, the part of me that hasn't given in yet. It's quiet, steady, but with an urgency I can't ignore. Now, it's time to finish what you started. I take a deep breath, the cold air stinging my lungs. My mind races. I've broken the connection with him, the dark version of me, the twisted reflection of everything Khalid was. But the ritual, it's not finished. I can feel it hanging over me like a guillotine, waiting to drop. I'm not free. Not yet. The real question, the one clawing at my insides, is how do I end this? I stumble toward the window, needing to see the outside world, needing to feel alive again. My hands grip the frame, and I pull it open, the cold night air rushing in, clearing my mind, though only for a moment. I look out at the streets below, the city still quiet, still unaware of the nightmare I've been pulled into. There's no way out of this. I know that now. Whether it's them or me, this ends with blood. Either I complete the ritual, or the darkness will claim me entirely. The thought makes me want to scream, to tear the very skin from my body and free myself from this horror. But I don't scream. I don't cry. Instead, I just ask, how? The voice inside me stirs again. You know how. You've always known. I shake my head, stepping away from the window, the weight of the knife still cold in my hand. I don't, I whisper, my voice breaking. I don't know what to do. The room is empty, eerily quiet now, but the voice doesn't let me go. The ritual was always meant to end with you, it says softly, the words heavy with finality. You're the last piece. I swallow hard, my mind swirling with the weight of what that means. The last piece. It wasn't about Khalid, not really. He was just a tool. The real focus was always me, the final sacrifice, the vessel for something far darker than I could have imagined. And now, I'm standing at the edge of that darkness, the knife in my hand, and there's no one left to stop me. But there's still one question burning in my mind, one that I can't shake. Why? I ask, my voice trembling. Why me? Why was I chosen? The voice pauses, and for a moment, I think it won't answer. But then, it speaks again, softer now, almost, sad. Because you were already broken. They needed someone who wouldn't fight it, someone who could be shaped. Khalid was a killer, yes, but you, the voice pauses, you were hollow. And they filled you. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Hollow. Is that all I ever was? An empty vessel waiting to be filled with darkness? It makes sense now. My life before all of this, it was directionless, meaningless. They found me when I was lost, desperate, and they made me into what they needed. And I let them. I let them make me this. Tears blur my vision, but I blink them away, gripping the knife tighter. If this was always meant to happen, if I was always supposed to be the final piece of the ritual, then there's only one way to stop it. I turn slowly, my eyes landing on the only thing left in the room, the reflection of myself in the broken mirror across the wall. It's cracked, fragmented, just like I am. My face, Khalid's face, stares back at me, twisted in fear and anguish, but there's something else in those shattered pieces of glass. There's a choice. You can end it, the voice whispers, almost gently. But it will cost you everything. I swallow hard, the weight of the knife pulling my hand down, making the decision heavier than it should be. I step closer to the mirror, my reflection growing clearer, and the truth hits me like a tidal wave. I can't live like this. Not with the darkness still inside me, waiting to take over. I've been fighting it for so long, but I can feel it creeping back, inch by inch. If I don't end it now, they'll win. And this nightmare will continue, more lives, more blood, more death. I bring the knife up to my chest, the cold metal pressing against my skin. I can feel my heartbeat beneath it, racing, desperate. I'm scared. I don't want to die. But I can't let them take me. I won't be their vessel. My reflection stares back at me, broken and fractured, but there's a strange calm in my eyes now. The fear is still there, but so is something else, acceptance. Do it, the voice says softly. It's the only way. I nod, my breath shaky. I know what I have to do. But just as I'm about to press the blade deeper, a hand grabs my wrist, yanking me back with such force that I stumble. The knife falls from my hand, clattering to the floor. I spin around, my heart leaping into my throat. It's Sarah. She's standing there, her face pale, her eyes wide with shock and fear. No, she whispers, shaking her head. No, you can't. My mind spins, confusion crashing over me like a wave. Sarah, You were going to kill yourself, she says, her voice trembling. You were going to end it all. I nod, my throat tight. It's the only way. The ritual, the darkness. I have to stop it. Sarah steps closer, her eyes brimming with tears. But you don't have to die to stop it, she says, her voice pleading. There's another way. I shake my head, my chest tight with emotion. I don't know any other way. They've taken everything, Sarah. I can feel them inside me, twisting me, turning me into something I'm not. I can't let them win. She reaches out, taking my hand in hers. Her touch is warm, grounding me in the moment. But if you die, they'll win anyway, she says softly. They want you to give up. They want you to believe that there's no hope, no way out. But there is. I stare at her, my mind spinning. What are you talking about? Sarah takes a deep breath, her eyes locking onto mine. The ritual, it doesn't have to end with you. You can break it. You just have to sever the connection to Khalid's body. You have to reject him. Reject the darkness. I frown, my mind racing. How? She hesitates, glancing down at the knife on the floor. By destroying the part of you that was tied to him. The part of you that was corrupted by him. I stare at the knife, my heart pounding. But how do I do that? Sarah looks up at me, her expression determined. You have to let go. You have to reject everything he was, everything they made you. And you have to believe that you're more than just a vessel. Her words sink into me, deeper than I expected. I'm more than just a vessel. I've been fighting so hard to survive, to keep the darkness from consuming me, but maybe the real answer isn't in fighting. Maybe it's in letting go. I look down at my hands, Khalid's hands, and I take a deep breath. I can feel the darkness still clawing at me, still trying to pull me under. But I won't let it. I won't let them win. I step forward, reaching for the knife on the floor, but this time, I don't hold it against my own chest. I lift it high, and in one swift motion, I bring it down against the mirror. The glass shatters, exploding into 1,000 tiny shards, each one catching the light as it scatters across the floor. My reflection is gone, broken, shattered beyond recognition. And in that moment, I feel it. The weight lifts. The darkness inside me recoils, screaming in rage, but it's fading, losing its grip. I can feel Khalid's presence slipping away, unraveling like smoke in the wind. The ritual is breaking. The curse is ending. I drop the knife, my breath coming in shallow, ragged gasps. Sarah watches me, her eyes wide with a mixture of relief and awe. You did it, she whispers. You're free. I nod, barely able to speak. I'm free. For the first time since this nightmare began, I'm free. Part 13, The Illusion of Freedom. The air in the room feels lighter now, but I can still hear the faint echo of the shattered glass scattered across the floor. I stand there, my chest heaving with each breath, trying to comprehend what just happened. The weight of Khalid, the darkness, the whispers, the shadows, it's gone. The ritual, the connection to him, broken. But something doesn't feel right. I glance at Sarah, who's watching me with cautious relief, her eyes searching my face for any sign of the darkness that once claimed me. "You're free," she whispers again, as if saying it aloud will make it more real, more solid. But her words sound hollow to me, distant, like I'm hearing them from underwater. Because even though the curse feels lifted, I still don't feel whole. I look down at my hands, turning them over slowly, expecting to see Khalid's skin, his blood, his sin still clinging to me. But they look like mine, familiar, trembling, but mine. And yet, something is missing. Something essential, something that has been with me since the moment I woke up in this body. The darkness may be gone, but the emptiness remains, vast and bottomless, like a void that can't be filled. I step toward the broken mirror, looking down at the shards. My reflection, fractured and distorted, stares back at me from every angle. I crouch down, gingerly picking up one of the larger pieces. It's cold, the sharp edge biting into my palm as I hold it up to the light. I study my face in the broken shard, and for the first time in what feels like forever, it's just me. No twisted version of myself, no haunting reflection of Khalid staring back. Just my own, tired, gaunt expression. But something inside me is still wrong. I can feel it, an aching hollowness that wasn't there before. I'm free of them, yes, but now I feel like I've lost something else. Like part of me is still missing, lost in the shadows I fought so hard to escape. "Sarah," I say quietly, standing up and turning to face her. "Why doesn't it feel over? Why doesn't it feel right?" Her expression falters, confusion and concern flashing across her face. "What do you mean?" she asks, stepping closer. "You broke the connection. The darkness is gone. You're yourself again." I shake my head, the knot in my chest tightening. It's not just about Khalid. I can feel it, something else is wrong. It's like, part of me is still trapped in that darkness. Like I left something behind when I shattered the mirror. She frowns, her brow creasing in worry. "Maybe it's just the aftermath. You've been through so much. It's normal to feel." "No," I interrupt, my voice rising with frustration. "This isn't just in my head. This is something else. It's like I'm incomplete." The words hang between us, heavy and unsettling. Sarah looks down at the shattered glass, her face pale. "What if," she begins, hesitating. "What if breaking the mirror didn't sever the connection? What if it just shifted it?" I stare at her, the implications of her words settling over me like a cold fog. "Shifted it?" She nods slowly, her eyes wide with fear. "You said it yourself, you still feel like something's wrong. Maybe the ritual wasn't fully about Khalid. Maybe you were always the intended vessel. Maybe they didn't let go." My blood runs cold at the thought. The ritual, the darkness, they weren't just tied to Khalid's body. They were tied to me. Even breaking the mirror didn't sever the link entirely. I take a step back, my mind racing, the emptiness inside me growing. "No," I mutter, shaking my head. "That can't be. I destroyed the connection. I'm free." But deep down, I know Sarah's right. The void inside me, it's more than just emptiness. It's a hunger, a shadow lurking beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to consume me again. I thought I had won, thought I had severed the connection to Khalid, to the darkness. But I was wrong. The ritual isn't over. It was never about Khalid, it was about me all along. I stumble back toward the window, gripping the ledge as my mind spins with the horrifying realization. The curse wasn't just about creating a killer. It was about creating something far worse. Something unstoppable. Then what do we do? I ask, my voice shaky, the fear clawing at my insides. If the ritual didn't end, if I'm still connected, how do we stop it? Sarah takes a deep breath, her eyes filled with a mix of terror and determination. We need to find the source. Whoever started this ritual, whoever set it in motion, they're the only ones who can truly end it. We have to find them. I look at her, my pulse quickening. The source? I ask, my voice trembling. You mean, the people who created this curse? She nods. Yes. They're the ones pulling the strings. They're the ones who set everything into motion, the murders, Khalid, the ritual. They're still out there, waiting for you to complete it. If we don't find them, you'll never be free. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. The twisted reflection of myself, the rituals, the sacrifices, it was all orchestrated by something far larger than I imagined. And now, the final piece of the puzzle is standing right in front of me. I was never meant to be Khalid. I was meant to be something far worse. But I'm not going to let that happen. We find them, I say, my voice steadying. We find whoever started this, and we make them end it. Once and for all. Sarah nods, her expression grim but resolute. And if they refuse? I take a deep breath, the emptiness inside me churning with dark energy. Then we make them. Without another word, I turn and head for the door, Sarah close behind me. The night air is cold as we step outside, the streets dark and empty. There's a strange sense of finality in the air, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for what comes next. But I'm not afraid anymore. I've faced the darkness inside me, and I've survived. I've shattered the mirror, broken the reflection, and now I know what I have to do. We're going to find them, the ones who started this. The ones who created Khalid, and by extension, me. And when we do, we're going to end this nightmare. No more running. No more hiding. It's time to finish what they started. Part 14, Hunting the Architects. The streets stretch out before us like an endless, winding path, swallowed in shadows. Each step feels heavy, not just with the weight of the night but with the burden of what we now face. The architects of this ritual, whoever or whatever they are out there, waiting for me. Waiting for me to become what they've been molding, what they need. But I'm not going to let them win. Beside me, Sarah walks in tense silence, her eyes darting around as if expecting something to crawl out of the darkness at any moment. I can feel her fear, thick in the air between us. But she doesn't say anything, and neither do I. There's no need for words now. We both know what we're up against, something old, something dangerous. Something that won't stop until I'm no longer me. The farther we walk, the more the emptiness inside me grows. That void, that cold, hungry darkness, is still there. It hasn't receded, it's just waiting. I can feel it, like a pressure building in my chest, ready to explode. My connection to the ritual isn't severed. If anything, it's stronger now. The mirror may have shattered, but I know the darkness is closer than ever, just waiting for the right moment to take me over completely. As we turn down a narrow alley, Sarah suddenly stops, her hand shooting out to grab my arm. Wait, she whispers, her voice trembling. Where are we going? How do we even find them? I stare ahead into the dark, my pulse racing. I don't know, I admit, the frustration thick in my voice. But they're out there. I can feel it. Sarah bites her lip, glancing around nervously. What if this is what they want? What if they're waiting for you to come to them? What if it's a trap? Her words hang in the air, and for a moment, I wonder if she's right. Is this just another part of their game? Have I been walking straight into their hands this whole time? But the voice inside me, the one that's still me, stirs again, soft but certain. You have to go. You're already close. I look at Sarah, my expression hardening. I don't care if it's a trap. We have to finish this. She hesitates for a moment, her eyes wide with fear, but then she nods, determination setting in. Okay, she says quietly. Let's keep going. We press on, the night air growing colder, the streets eerily silent. There's an almost palpable tension in the air, like the city itself is holding its breath. Every shadow feels alive, every corner hiding something unseen. I keep expecting to see movement in the periphery of my vision, dark figures creeping out from the edges of reality, but there's nothing. Just the empty, silent streets and the oppressive darkness. Suddenly, I stop in my tracks. There's something ahead. A building, old and crumbling, standing alone at the end of a deserted street. It looks abandoned, forgotten, just another piece of the city's decaying landscape. But something about it feels wrong. My skin prickles as I stare at it, a deep sense of dread settling over me. This is it, I whisper, my voice barely audible. Sarah looks up at the building, her eyes narrowing. Are you sure? I nod, my heart pounding in my chest. I can feel it. They're here. Without another word, we move toward the building. The closer we get, the stronger the feeling becomes, like a magnetic pull, dragging me toward something I can't see but know is there. The emptiness inside me grows with every step, the darkness swelling, pressing against my mind. I can feel them, the architects, waiting for me, expecting me. The door to the building is slightly ajar, creaking as I push it open. The interior is dark, lit only by the faint glow of the moon filtering through broken windows. The air inside is thick with dust and decay, the smell of something long dead lingering in the air. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to move forward. My footsteps echo in the silence, the floorboards creaking beneath my weight. Sarah follows close behind, her eyes wide, her body tense with fear. The deeper we go, the more oppressive the atmosphere becomes. It's like walking through a graveyard.